Connection. Okay. So in here. Full screen. Alt tab. And to beginning. Hello everyone. I got the thing going again. Hold on. Cool. Now I may have to do this one a little bit differently than earlier. We'll see. Hello. I have to grab my power button. Come on. So, basically, we're going to try to do the exact same stream we did before. This time was a little bit different scenario. Alrighty, so I have got OBS running now. There we go. So we're gonna throw this down like so. So hold on. So the way I have this going is we're gonna full screen this. Alright, so basically, right now, like I said, OBS is running, so that's fun. Basically, we're gonna go back to this. So, as you saw before, I could swap. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep roughly doing what we were doing before. There we go. So you can't see my hand here. Right about there should do it. Yeah, that's as much as we need. Okay, so I have it to where I just click it. Okay, so we're gonna move to our next scene. We got that going, which is messed up. Hold on. I swear I know what I'm doing.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where good things, or at least FNAF things, come to those who wait. And man, when it comes to this game series, no one was waiting for anything. I mean, the second game came out 3 months after the first, the trailer for the third was 2 months later, and like 4 minutes after that, the game was available to download. So forgive me if I was caught with my pants down on that one. I just wasn't prepared for it. But even more impressive than that abbreviated timeline was your ability to rip that final game apart. Hours after the release of the game, people were discussing good versus bad endings, 8-bit Atari cake, glitching through walls, and punching a flipping code into cement bricks arranged like a telephone dial pad. In regards to that last one, I have two things to say. First off, well done to you guys for figuring it out so quickly, and secondly, Scott, seriously. Seriously, Scott? Oh look, here's a wall. Let me just dial in my phone number. Beep boop boop beep boop boop. What? When did we jump from a point-and-click horror game to magical fantasy? This thing is like platform 9 3/4. I expect Harry effing Potter to apparate into Pirate's Cove or something. Jeez, here I was thinking that you'd plug your numbers into, the one other place that you see numbers in this game, the bonus jump scare menu, or something, anything, but nope, dialing it into a wall. We have ourselves a completed video game trilogy, with the third game giving us more jump scares, more phone guy, and more fan. But this game also contains the final clues we need to get some closure on this game's deviously vague story. Scotty C certainly didn't make things any easier for us, but at this point I think we finally have enough puzzle pieces scattered across.
So real quick, I'm gonna pause this so I can talk. Okay, so real quick, I found a very weird glitch that this thing loves to do for no apparent reason. What happens is, if you have two devices connect to the same output, I'm gonna take that off so I can actually hear. Basically, I had my phone and my laptop connected to the same setup, or to the headset here, and apparently the stream didn't like it, so it caused this weird echoing effect to where it was like doubled up or something. I am gonna see where the advanced audio properties, desktop audio, okay, active. Your audio is deactivated. Okay, so what we will do is back to the audio, properties, default. I want the microphone array here, use device timestamps. Alright, so that should be it. So now I could hear myself better, I believe. Yeah, that's a whole lot better. I'm gonna go close my door here in a second. Alright, so basically, what I have it doing now is that I can actually show the live stream and do Legos at the same time. So that way you guys are involved with what I'm doing.
Across the three games to assemble a fairly accurate picture of this franchise's lore. Since you guys had a, let's just say, above average interest in this theory, I wanted to create something that answered as many questions as possible about this franchise. But beyond just the details, the question we all want an answer to is, what exactly happened in the story throughout this series? It's a pretty fundamental question to not have an answer to, and yet, despite thousands of videos, forum entries, and Tumblr posts, whoa, hey, put that away, you behave yourself. This game is already scary enough without you sticking your hook somewhere it doesn't belong, okay? Despite all those things, we still don't have a clear picture on the details. Yes, there's a child killer on the loose, the infamous purple guy, who's been using Fazbear pizzerias as his hunting ground of choice for years, but going into the third game, we still weren't sure about who this guy was or even how many victims he'd officially taken. Then there are the animatronics. Sure, we generally understand that the killer's dead bodies have been stuffed into some of the suits, and that with the help of the puppet, the kids were able to find new life in those robotic bodies, but then what about Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy, who randomly appeared in FNAF 2 only to become prominent figures throughout Part 3? How do they fit in? What about the ghostly Golden Freddy, someone we've been talking about since the first game, and yet we still don't really know anything about him? Well, now that we finally have all the facts, I think it's time we revisit my timeline I presented in the last episode to see what I got right, what I got wrong. Yes, you heard that. Wrong. No shame. I'm a big boy. Mommy,
Okay,
wow,
come
I'm a
on.
big kid now. And finally fill in the missing details to create what I believe to be my definitive Five Nights theory. And boy,
Five Nights
howdy, it is a doozy. So strap in, theorists. You wanted it. You're about to get it. Overall, the timeline of the franchise I presented in the last video still holds strong. Decades before the name became a horror legend meriting its own theme park-style attraction, Freddy Fazbear got his start at Fredbear Family Diner. It's here where our story begins as Purple Guy takes his first victim, something we see in the Take Cake minigame.
Alright, pause for a second. So I wanted to explain sort of how this is working. Because obviously, as I'm doing this, it has a bunch of things it's already doing. So here's how this is kind of how it. So basically, as you can already tell, we're watching FNAF theories. If during the live stream you want to post your own, like if you want to put in chat, hey, this is how I think the timeline should go, do that. Or you can say, hey, the theories are too much, swipe off of them. You can do that too. I'm not going to have any issue with it. But I wanted to see how the audio is picking up real quick. Okay, the audio is picking up fine. The only thing is I'm having trouble balancing audio real quick. So I'm going to see if I can try to get it to go lower. Let's go about there.
From Five Nights at Freddy's 2. What tells us that this is Fredbear's and first in the timeline? Well, as I said last time, in addition to it being a small space, the only character we see is Freddy, whereas all other mini-games feature multiple animatronics. He's also holding a cupcake. Since that would later become Chica's signature item, the event depicted in this game must have come before she was created. Additionally, notice that the Purple Guy's murder takes place outside the building. This is the only time we see him murder someone outside the walls of a Fazbear building, which implies that this is likely his first victim. Serial killers often have what's known as a signature, a way of killing that's unique to him and him alone. For Purple Guy, his signature is dressing in an animatronic costume, then luring children to the back of the pizzeria and killing them there. But this murder occurs before he developed this particular style, implying that it's the first. From there, we know that the puppet jump scare that always follows this minigame, combined with the tier design on both the dead child and the puppet's mask, implies that the soul of the first child now exists in the puppet. The event caused the original owners to sell the Fredbear name, who then rebranded and avoided the negative PR, becoming what we know today as Fazbear Entertainment. They then opened a new chain of restaurants, which we never saw in the games, until the release of Five Nights 3. This is not Fredbear Diner like many interpret, but rather the first location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, predating the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. How do we know? Well, by paying close attention to the old recordings of Phone Guy dug up in FNAF 3, he introduces us to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, not Diner, before explaining the functionality of the special spring-lock suits.
Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Right now we have two specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit.
He also lets us know that the animatronics are still allowed to walk around freely during the day, meaning that this is happening before the Bite of 87, in which an animatronic bites someone during business hours, removing their frontal lobe and resulting in the animatronics being restricted to moving around only at night.
For ease of operation, the animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sound cues
As Phone Guy informs us, and as we see in the Stage 01 minigame, there are two specialty suits, a Golden Bonnie suit and the origins of the infamous Golden Freddy. But the lifespan of these Springlock suits is actually short-lived as we learn about their one fatal flaw.
After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suits temporarily unfit for employees. The classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location.
Now, let's pause here. Two employees are killed by the failure of a Bonnie suit and a Freddy suit. Where else in the game do we see Bonnie and Freddy sharing a unique feature that no one else in the game possesses? Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. Could this be the origin of the paranormal Shadow suits? Yes, actually. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie are tied to the ghosts of the employees who died in the spring suits. Get this, the employees' bodies were taken out of the suits, which is why their appearance is more paranormal and why they can't possess them as well as the children can. Plus, having this as their origin would explain the in-game behavior of both suits. In FNAF 3, we see that Purple Guy hides in a secret safe room that has been built into every pizzeria. A room that's hidden to customers and invisible to the animatronics programming. During the minigames that occur between nights, we see Shadow Freddy lead the other animatronics to this secret room, only to cause them to glitch out and then get torn apart by Purple Guy. This supernatural origin story is how Shadow Freddy is able to enter the safe room when other animatronics can't. How he's able to lead you to that room in the first place when other animatronics wouldn't be able to see it based on their programming, and even why he leads you there, knowing that Purple Guy attacking you will eventually free your soul. That's also why there's no Purple Freddy suit when you do finally enter that room. It's not an alternate Purple Guy costume like many believe, it's an apparition. Suck on that, Harry Potter, I knew someone would apparate eventually. It also explains why Shadow Bonnie's minigame in FNAF 3 always starts on Stage 01, the spring suits, and why it's the one animatronic we control that has the ghostly ability to glitch, fly, and teleport. As we concluded last episode, this is also the point in the timeline of the first missing children's incident, the one we learn about via newspaper clippings in Five Nights 1. So, based on the newspaper clipping evidence we have, we know that the mauve murderer dressed in one of the suits lured children to a back room and killed them. He's starting to develop his signature, but one nagging detail FNAF theorists have been wondering is what suit does he use for his disguise? The answer? Golden Bonnie. Why? Well, remember the phone guy saying the faulty suits were being retired to an appropriate location. There's a high likelihood they're being stored in one of the safe rooms in the restaurants. Plus, we hear in FNAF 2 that the purple guy has a habit of using a yellow suit.
We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it.
But why not Golden Freddy? Phone Guy tells us so at the beginning of Night 5 in FNAF 3.
Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved.
My, what an oddly specific detail to include, Scott Cawthon. And remember, these tapes that play in FNAF 3 date all the way back to the first pizzeria location, which is why this detail is so important. It reflects Purple Guy starting to develop his signature killing pattern. From there, we know the rest of the story. Purple Guy kills the kids, stuffs the bodies into the suits to hide them, but as we read the paper, is caught on camera and arrested. Meanwhile, the puppet gives life to the children, and the angry spirits possess the robots. Or is that really how it goes? Let's go back to the Give Gifts, Give Life minigame. The children are lying there dead, and the puppet first tries to give them presents. Weird, right? Weird until you consider that his place is at the prize corner. Giving presents is the only thing he knows that can make children happy. It's a reflex. Remember, this is still a child spirit in this puppet, but when that doesn't work, the puppet goes around one more time and does the only other thing it can think of. Put the bodies into the suits. You heard that right. In trying to save the children, he's the one hiding them in the animatronic suits. Not the killer like we've been assuming. But then what about the fifth child, as there's only 4 here? Well, as we pointed out last time, the fifth child is there too, appearing at the very end of the minigame and taking the role of Golden Freddy. But remember, Golden Freddy is a decommissioned Springlock suit at this point, deemed too unsafe to be functional. The reason he's slumped over and can't move like unlike the rest, is that his endoskeleton has been taken out. He's in suit mode, not free roaming mode. He physically doesn't have the mechanisms in place to stand up and move. Possessed or no, a dead child's spirit just can't give a boneless suit the ability to stand. This also explains the lone naked endoskeleton that appears occasionally in both Five Nights 2 and Five Nights 1. An endoskeleton that once belonged to Golden Freddy. Whew, I know I made you wait for this one, so I knew I had to make it count. Heck, if there ain't a lot to cover. Still with me? Good, because we're ready for our next location. You see, since the puppet hid the bodies, no one knows they're in the suits until they start oozing and smelling, which, as we see in the papers, eventually gets the place shut down for health violations. The company tries to recover from, quote, the tragedy that took place there many years ago, but can't, and eventually is forced to shut its doors for good. This leads to the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Finally, we're actually going to talk about a game in the series. Seriously, can you believe we've been going this whole time on locations that aren't even settings for the 3 main games? That is why this lore is so challenging, but also so interesting. Anyway, forgotten, dismantled, deactivated. These are the words you see at the beginning of the trailer. Back when the debate about whether this game was a sequel or a prequel to the first game, these words made it seem like a follow-up, that everything had been shut down since the first game, but it wasn't. These words are a reference to the business being closed down after that first missing children's incident. That's why posters everywhere in Five Nights 2 are all about the brand new Fazbear Pizza. It's the grand reopening after years of being out of business. That's also why the new toy animatronics have built-in facial recognition software to a criminal database. They need to be careful to prevent another incident, but as we know, it doesn't work. As we see in the Save Them minigame, 5 more children get killed in this new location. We know it's the new location because the minigame map's layout perfectly matches this new Fazbear business. We also know it couldn't have happened earlier in the timeline, as both the old animatronics and new toy robots are presented in the game. But this time, the puppet's solution isn't saving the kids, it's stopping the killer. He enlists the help of Freddy to try and SAVETHEM, leading the bear to the killer's location. Except Purple Guy came prepared, equipped with not a phone, but rather something to help him tamper with the animatronics. He knows that something fishy is going on with these robots, because he's been watching, studying. The puppet wants Freddy to save them, to which the killer's answer is only this: you can't. So how did the Purple Guy manage it when he had been caught years before? What about the bite of 87? How do FNAF 1 and 3 fit in? And most importantly of all, who is the Purple Guy? All that next week. Don't worry, I'll come back. I always do. In the meantime, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for Make sure you don't miss part 2 by clicking subscribe. Well, honestly, you still might miss it. The subscribe button is really just a glorified bookmark button. But still, it's the best you're gonna get, so might as well do it. And while you're at it, you know what else you should click on? The link in the description for some free food delivered straight to your door, courtesy of NatureBox. Honestly, I love this service. NatureBox delivers boxes of snacks straight to your door. It's like having a year-long Santa Claus giving you tasty presents, or like those care packages your parents send you when you're away in school. It's awesome. And it's free if you go to naturebox.com/MattPat or click that link. They have over 100 snacks to choose from. Even as I write, I'm munching on some lemon tea biscuits and strawberry figgy bars. Seriously, look, here they are, so you know it's something I'm using myself. Anyway, it's free food that doesn't require you to leave your couch or break your game theory marathon. Sounds like a win-win to me. So check out naturebox.com/MattPat and start snacking.
Just because I don't have another spot to put it. We're gonna grab our little mouse here.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory. We may not have made FNAF, but I like to think we've at least made it a bit more interesting. So in part 1 of this long-awaited all-questions-answered FNAF theory, we covered everything from the origins of the Shadow animatronics, to the reason for Golden Freddy's ghostly behavior, to proof of what suit the killer uses. We clarified the timeline and even went so far as to dispel the myth that the killer is the one shoving the bodies into the suits. Click here if you missed it to get caught up. Don't worry, I'll wait. This is a pausable video after all. But today we're covering the major questions from the franchise, the final bits of the timeline, the ending of the game, and most importantly of all, the identity of the purple guy. So enough intro, let's cut to the chase. When we left things off, there had been another round of murder done in Fazbear Pizza. Purple guy had once again used a golden Bonnie suit to lure in another set of 5 kids and kill them, as depicted in the Save Them minigame from FNAF 2. The place gets closed for investigation a few days later, but the one thing that practically everyone overlooks in this location is that it gets reopened. In FNAF 2, the Night 1 phone call welcomes you to your new summer job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Hello and welcome to your new summer job
At the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Summer job. And yet, the paycheck at the end of the week reads November. There is not a single place in the world where November is a summer month.
Let's do it.
Not one. Meaning that these
Video
tapes,
capture.
all these tapes, are pre-recorded. And honestly, that shouldn't be a surprise.
Right.
Phone Guy's calls are recordings in every game. In FNAF 1, before
hello.
Phone Guy dies, he says he's glad he recorded these messages when he did.
Integrate a
I'm
camera.
really glad that I recorded my messages for you.
And then in FNAF 3, they combined the old training tapes the phone
No, I don't want guitar.
Vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes.
In short, all of Phone Guy's messages are unstuck in time, not recorded anytime near your tenure as security guard. That includes the ones in FNAF 2 talking about children going missing. The pizzeria isn't being shut down for an investigation of some missing children the week you happen to be working there. You're listening to old tapes meant for the night security guard from months ago. Need
Yeah,
more
sorry
proof?
about
Night
this, I'm just
6's
trying to
call
fiddle with it.
references a birthday party happening as the last event before the building closes. But what decorations do we see put up throughout the building for the entirety of the week you're working there? Happy birthday banners. Confusing? You betcha. Game-changing? Absolutely. This means that both Jeremy and Fritz, the characters you play as throughout
So,
FNAF 2, aren't
have
the
this
killer
camera
purple
set up,
guy at all. They were both
this,
working in November,
so the one
after
that's
the yellow
over
suit investigation and the
here,
killer getting
above me.
charged. Which brings
I have
us
this
to the
set
other
up
key
to
point in the
be,
timeline, the
you know,
bite of 87.
see
Ever
this,
since we heard about this mysterious
guys can see my
frontal lobe nibble
face
on that
on
first fateful night at
bent
Freddy's,
over
we
and
wanted to
whatever.
know
It
more
doesn't
about
really
this
need to
bizarre
happen like
attack,
this.
the one that ends
I'm
up
choosing to
resulting
do
in
it
animatronics
because
no
I'm
longer
bored.
being allowed to walk around during the day. But now, 3 games in, we do know more. We know it took place in the location of FNAF 2 based on the 1987 date on Jeremy's paycheck. And furthermore, the newspaper clipping that ends
hold on.
FNAF 2
Pause. Alt-Tab. Heading back here. We're going to change this. Properties. I want... Oh, hold on. Let's do this. View device. Add existing. Capture device 2. So remove. Yes. We're going to put you right there. And then place this there. Alright, cool. Sorry I'm fiddling with this as I'm going. I don't mean to do it. But is what it is. Alright. Gonna
gives
go
us a
back to
clue
this.
that it's the bite which closes this version of the restaurant, not some serial killing.
There you go.
Quote, after being open a few short weeks, the restaurant is closing its doors, the article says, with the new animatronics being scrapped for possible malfunction. That's game designer Scott Cawthon telling us that one of the new toy animatronics bit someone during the day. Why else would the new robots be scrapped while the old ones get kept for possible reorganization? Well, outside of an obvious need to retcon on why these new robots didn't appear in Five Nights 1. It's because the company considered them safer, relatively speaking. So, then who's the biter? Well, it's none other than the pile of scraps and parts,
Alright.
Mangle. The most obvious clue is the
This thing
animatronics unhinged
down over
jaw.
here.
The frontal lobe
You
is
guys
the biggest part of the
are
human
still able to
brain,
see
and
it.
the size and shape of the other toy robots' mouths just wouldn't be able to handle the size of the human head, especially when you compare it to the Mangle's narrow snout and wide open mouth. There's also Mangle's sharper teeth and potential angle of attack. As shown by its jump scare, Mangle goes for the top of the head. And who got bit? Well, there isn't enough evidence to say definitively, but your most likely candidate would be fan favorite Jeremy Fitzgerald. Jeremy passes the test, and on his paycheck at the end of the week, he's welcomed into the family, presumably getting moved to day shift. Fritz gets hired to replace him on day 7, but then promptly gets fired for tampering with the animatronics. That means he's not likely the one to get bit, and instead the person who follows him on day shift is, leaving Jeremy as the most likely frontal lobeless candidate. But regardless of whether it's Jeremy or some other customer we've never met, someone gets bit, the restaurant closes for good, and as the newspaper clippings show, the old animatronics go into storage awaiting a smaller location with a lower budget. Fast forward to the 90s and FNAF 1. We know it's the 90s based on the hourly rate of the paycheck received by Mike Schmidt, security guard extraordinaire from the first game, something we proved in our first Five Nights video. And now we can breathe a sigh of relief, because this was the beautiful time long ago, last August, when the games weren't so complicated, when the biggest mysteries were a game-crashing gold bear and the words "it's me." No death minigames, no puppets, no need to shoehorn in extra overcomplicated storylines. That all would come later when the first game became a smash hit and got itself some sequels. And boy did those sequels make things complicated, as both featured 8-bit minigames revealing more details about this location from the original game. First things first, we know that the purple guy kills 5 children here. We see it in the Foxy Go 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 minigame from FNAF 2. Foxy runs past a grinning purple guy to see 5 dead bodies. Sorry, no fireworks this time, Foxy. And how do we know it's the FNAF 1 location? Well, it's the only time in the game when Foxy's stage, Pirate Cove, is located to the west of a dining area. See how he performs for the children by running to the right? That matches the map layout of the FNAF 1 pizzeria. We also know from the FNAF 3 minigames that this is where the purple guy dies inside a golden Springlock Bonnie suit in a safe room near the back. One built so that it would never show up on camera, conveniently explaining why it never appeared in the first game. But hold on, weren't those safe rooms sealed up a long time ago? I mean, we touched on this last episode, but the old recordings of Phone Guy we listened to throughout FNAF 3 say that these rooms are being closed off, discontinued, and will never be mentioned again. Why would a location 20 years later possess a safe room unless it was the same building as the first
basically, I
Freddy
just sit here.
Fazbear's Pizza location?
grab Legos
That's
from the
why
pile
it's
here,
in such disrepair
and
when we
then
see it in the FNAF
with this
3
camera,
minigames, boarded
it
up
shows
with
you where I
rats
put 'em.
on the floor. It's been closed
And
down
then
for years, which also means the dead kid.
And I could just go in and pause it, because why not? So, yeah. Alrighty, so I'm back. Alrighty, so this is the starter. And then, as you can see, swaps to this. So this is the start. This is the main one. And then this is when it ends. And I haven't fiddled with this one yet, but it's still pretty good. But yeah, I have it to where the laptop's like right here. You still can't see it, but it's still pretty good. Alright. So, if you decide to, you can, well, whenever you're ready, you can go take your nap. And then I'm just going to go back to my thing.
Kids from the Foxy Go 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 minigame aren't another set of new victims, cause seriously, at this point the killer would have made his way through like a short bus full of pizza-hungry children. No, those kids are the first 5 dead kids, the ones who would eventually possess Old Bonnie, Chica, Freddy Foxy, and Golden Freddy. I mean, look, if the animatronics were possessed at this point, don't you think Foxy would be attacking Purple Guy rather than just running past him to perform for some dead kids? This also explains the random cutscene from FNAF 2 where the puppet's looking into Freddy's eyes. You can tell by the tables in the background and the design of both Bonnie and Chica that this is the FNAF 1 location with the old animatronics on stage. But it's not a flash forward to the game's next location, but rather a flash back to the moment the puppet brought these characters, these children, to life. Okay, but that's just tying together some loose ends in the story. We're interested in how this whole thing ends, and those FNAF 3 minigames give us the conclusion we're looking for. These flashback minigames show Purple Guy dismantling the animatronics from the security of the safe room one by one, but in doing so, he's unwittingly releasing the spirits of his former victims. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy. When their powers combine, they are able to scare Purple Guy into the Golden Bonnie spring-lock suit, which fails, crushes him pretty much to the point of death, though notice we never actually see him die, and the spirits fade away. Golden Bonnie, with Purple Guy inside, now known as Springtrap, rots away in the safe room for years until he's finally uncovered by the founders of Fazbear's Fright from the 3rd game. With the discovery of Springtrap, this haunted house attraction inspired by the years of mystery and murder of the pizzeria chain, finally has their first real animatronic, who then haunts the player for 5 nights and a nightmare night until the place burns down due to faulty wiring. The end. Take a bow. It's finally over. Well, kinda. We're still left with one final, seemingly impossible question to answer. Who is the Purple Guy? After spending, I kid you not, full days plotting out all the details of this game franchise on whiteboards, talking it over with anyone who would...
And then I'll cut it back. So, apparently my brother decided he wanted to write this. So, Mark was here, apparently. I don't know why. But also, I'm gonna see if I can pull up the chat so I can actually watch the chat, because I am kind of behind. Here, actually, is there a chat feature on here? Media source, see, let's do a media source. What is this? Local file? Nope. Okay, never mind. Window capture. Oh, wait a minute. Here, hold on. I'm gonna...
stand to listen to me ramble on.
Hold on. So, Alt-Tab. Back to here. Because I need to right-click. Live streaming. There it is. Okay, so this is going on. Mark was here. I'm going to pop out the chat, go back full screen, then that's wrong one. Alt tab back to here. Okay. Media source. Remove. Yes. We don't need it. Capture. Window capture. Yes. I want it to capture this. Window title must match. Okay. And we're going to put this right here. Okay, we're running out of space here. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to put so if you're going to have big messages here, hold on, let me find this. Here we go. No, I'd rather you not start to spam. Okay, back to here. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Yowie. No, you're not gonna have mod. That's not how this works. Anyways, live chat. Bit taller. There. That should do it. Anyways, minimize because I don't need to see you. And of course the cursor is still on it. Alright, so Alt Tab to you. And then Alt Tab back to you here. I needed you. Alt Tab back, and we're good. And we're back to what we're doing. Full screen. Alt Tab to here.
On and on about fictional haunted robots, and just looking at it from every possible angle, all logic points to it being...
So, the reason why I am choosing not to put you as a mod right now is actually because, one, I don't know how to do that. And two, there's barely anybody in here. You don't need to be a mod. So, between you and me, you don't need to do that. So, yeah. You have an issue with it? Come in here. Anyways, gonna go back to my show.
Chain finally has their first real animatronic, who then haunts the player for 5 nights and a nightmare night until the place burns down due to faulty wiring. The end. Take a bow. It's finally over. Well, kinda. We're still left with one final, seemingly impossible question to answer. Who is the purple guy? After spending, I kid you not, full days plotting out all the details of this game franchise on whiteboards, talking it over with anyone who would stand to listen to me ramble on and on about fictional haunted robots, and just looking at it from every possible angle, all logic points to it being... the phone guy. And no, not because I made a theory about it and refused to let it die. Honestly, I couldn't care less if that last video was wrong. At this point, I just care about the truth, and phone guy makes the most logical sense. I know your complaints, and I promise you if you stick with me, you'll be convinced. First, there's the circumstantial evidence I presented during my FNAF 2 theory. Phone Guy's admitted love of Foxy being reflected by the smiling purple guy sprite during the Foxy Go 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 minigame. His distrust of the puppet, a creature haunted by his first victim that we see time and time again trying to bring a stop to his killing spree. His admitted role as a security guard, and even the weird phone-like object in his hand from the Save Them minigame. But there's even more evidence when we consider Five Nights 3. Consider this. He's the only person in the game who knows about the safe rooms. As we've mentioned before, all the safe rooms were sealed up back in the Springlock suit days, back in the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location, meaning every other employee coming afterward would have never even heard of these things. Phone Guy is the only character we meet who would have any knowledge of these rooms, and more importantly, of how they operate, how they're invisible to the cameras, and more importantly, to the animatronics. And that's just the beginning. He's also the only person who knows how to use the Springlock suits. Again, once they were decommissioned, the suits were hidden away. Regardless of whether you believe that the killer used a Golden Bonnie suit the whole time, or you think he used a Golden Freddy suit, either way, we know for a fact the killer was using one of the yellow spring-locked suits, and Phone Guy is the only character we know who had knowledge.
Okay, so real quick, I found I used to have one of those like Lego Nautilus sets. I don't remember what it was originally called. Apparently, I don't pay attention to chat as much as I'm supposed to. There are 4 people here, but I don't like coming. I don't like face cam. I'm bored, so I play. Fine, I will and just you wait. I really need to pay attention to chat. Is there actually 4 people in here? There's 3. So there's 3. I think it's me. Nope, I lied. 3, so F. I have to take a look at the chat on my phone. Also, if you start spamming, it doesn't really work. I don't like that the camera keeps trying to autofocus. Hold on. Properties. Configure video. White balance off. Apply. Okay, wait. What's white balance? Okay, cool. Color enable. Yes. 60 hertz. Huh. Alright. So, real quick, I found a little map. Doesn't really matter, but yeah. Thought it was interesting. And back to what we were doing.
Of A, where they were hidden, and B, how they were operated safely. Now, I know a lot of people have said that it couldn't have been Phone Guy because he knew better. He knew that they were dangerous and could kill him, so if he was indeed the purple guy, he wouldn't just hop into a Springtrap suit like we see depicted at the ending of FNAF 3. But there's one key detail that everyone has been overlooking, and that Scott carefully included in this game. Listen.
Too many Pokemon in this room.
Uh-huh.
Charizard. Charizard is in here. Me don't like OBS.
Yeah, I actually figured out how to get it to work.
How?
You're supposed to start the stream over and you go on your OBS thingy and you tell it when you're on YouTube, you tell it to. I gotta take this off. I can't listen to myself. Basically, you go over to OBS, you tell it to get the stream key when you're in the YouTube portion, and it automatically hyperlinks you over to the window that you're supposed to be, and then you go through the thing, you set up the stream stuff as you're supposed to, and it'll give you a key, copy and paste it over into Streamlabs, and it starts, or into this, and it starts working again. You done?
I totally didn't hit my butt cheek and now I'm bleeding.
Uh-huh.
I like to stream so good.
It's fine.
Wow, he doesn't support viewers.
I do support viewers, but it's not like I do this all the time. Anyways, alrighty. Ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba. Anyways, so I'm gonna put my. I don't like. Alright. Alright, this is gonna go back over here because I don't need to listen to myself. So basically, profile. Let's see. Show recordings at settings folder. Edit. Ba-da-ba-bum bum bum bum. Ba-da-bum bum 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 bum. Rename a Steam collection. Stream set. There we go. That should work. And then, what's this? Deck link. Alright. Anyways, I'll tab back to here.
Listen. You hear it? There's rain. There are puddles on the ground. It's dripping from the ceiling. The killer had been using these spring-lock suits safely for years, but in his panic to escape the ghosts, he failed to notice the wetness of the building around him. The killer had never encountered this problem before because the building had always been in a decent state of repair, but now it's a wreck, torn apart by age. Rain is able to seep in, something he didn't realize when he was in such a hurry to run away from the ghosts. And if moist breath can loosen the locks, you can bet some rain would make those suckers ready to snap shut. And they do, killing our killer. I mean, all of that makes a pretty compelling argument, almost an open and shut case, if there wasn't one final major criticism to the phone guy theory since the release of FNAF 3. And it's a good one. The fact that phone guy seems to die during his Night 4 phone call from the first game.
Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did.
If Phone Guy was the killer, why would the robots still be active after his death and the ghosts disappear? It just wouldn't make sense unless you stop to consider the rest of FNAF 3's endings. The big twist in FNAF 3 is the inclusion of a good and bad ending. By completing the game normally, you get the bad ending, in which we see Purple Guy die in a flashback minigame, and the whole thing ends with 5 masks representing the 5 main animatronics with lights on behind their eyes. The good ending, meanwhile, requires using some not-so-subtly hidden clues to unlock minigames, then basically ignoring those games, glitching them out, and giving hidden dead kids cake to make them happy, obviously referring to the victims of Purple Guy. Beat the game this time, and the ending is largely the same, but with 1 fewer animatronic mask and no lights on. The obvious difference here is that in the good ending, the souls of the dead children have been put at peace. When they disappear for good. They don't go back to their animatronic bodies. But the bad ending? The lights on behind the eyes of all 5 masks mean that these guys are still active. Angry, restless spirits still haunting the robots to this day. Because here's the thing. The good ending doesn't exist until you, as the player of the 3rd installment, give cake to those kids during FNAF 3's hidden minigames. What you play in FNAF 1, though, is the aftermath of the bad ending, when the animatronics have killed Phone Guy but are still out for vengeance. Yeah, you made it through those first 5 nights at Freddy's. You overheard the death of the purple guy recorded live on the phone, but it wasn't enough. You got the bad ending. Even with the killer crippled in the back room in a spring-lock suit, the lights are still on in these animatronics. They're still roaming the halls, attacking anyone wearing that much-hated security guard outfit. People like Mike Schmidt, an innocent guy just trying to do his job at a failing pizza restaurant. And as the final nail in the coffin, what Phone Guy says in his Night 4 recording perfectly foreshadows what we see in the games.
Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there.
Think about what Purple Guy does. He hides in a back room, the safe room, hides in a suit, and despite getting sprung-trapped, actually does hold out until someone checks. Holds out long enough for the phone dude to find the hidden safe room, recover the animatronic, and set him free in Fazbear Fright. Exactly what the Phone Guy said he'd do in his final moments. And as Springtrap, he comes back in FNAF 3. Comes back like he always does. And with no real animatronics present at Fazbear's Fright, remember Springtrap is the only real one they've found, with all the rest scattered, probably located in dumps, which is why their bodies and faces are decaying. All that the spirits can do is appear as phantoms, hallucinations. Well, all except one, the puppet, who we see in his physical form roaming the hallways of Fazbear Fright. So real, in fact, that we see his reflection visible in the pools of water under his feet, meaning he is there and unburnt. There's only one way to truly end this. End the murderous Purple Guy, burning the place to the ground. The puppet gave robots life, gave spirits peace, and finally gave the murderer, the Phone Guy, his long-deserved death, or at least tried to. And that is the end of the Five Nights at Freddy's story. No hat, no movie, no 4th installment.
What? Oh, no! 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 No!
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what happened? What's wrong?
Look!
Oh no.
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you enjoyed these theories, show your appreciation by subscribing to the channel. Seriously, I spent more blood, sweat, and tears on these scripts than I have on the entire 4 years of this show. You know, hopefully you liked it, hopefully you're satisfied with the conclusions I reached, and hopefully you decide to subscribe as a result. Wouldn't mind it. Now then, welcome back to the Super Amazing End Card Tournament, where today I just have a simple question. Are you excited about a Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Click over here.
So, real quick, I just want to mention something real quick. Like these, the science of FNAF videos and the Gaijin Goomba ones, I'm gonna skip over them when they come up, so they're not gonna play. So it just makes it easier on me. Because, quite honestly, the Gaijin Goomba ones are not that interesting. But the other ones I like. Like the rest of them I don't mind. And it's like the science of are kind of interesting. So, yeah.
Here to say yes, click over here to say no, and oh my gosh, it's
We're gonna go to the next one.
Sorry, Scott Cawthon. I'm tired of waiting for you. This time you'll have to keep up with me. Oh, never mind. Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where instead of waiting for FNAF 4 to be released, this time we're getting out ahead of the game. Or at least that was the plan. Scott, I swear you are the biggest internet troll out there. Oh, it's being released October 31st. Okay, let me plan my entire schedule around that. Never mind, it's now in August. Okay, fine, let me rework everything. Lols. Here's the full version now. You, Scott Cawthon, are the reason I have an emotional dependence on Diet Coke. But today I'll be sipping that sweet, sweet Diet Coke in sweet, sweet victory. Because guess what? I win! Scott, in your rush to get the game out, to get out ahead of my theories and completely flim-flam the internet and shock everyone by releasing the game 3 months early, you missed a huge detail. Maybe before releasing the game, you should have spent a bit more time researching, because this game, as you've presented it, is impossible. Let me explain. Basically, it's all but confirmed at this point that in FNAF 4 you play as the victim of the bite of 87, and that this game is either his nightmare or what he's seeing in a coma as he recovers from his injuries. Let me run you through the evidence real quick so that we're all on the same page. First, in the months leading up to the release of the game, there were clues hidden in the source code for some of the teasers on Scott's website, with the numbers 8787 repeated over and over again. 2 numbers that anyone who hasn't been living under a rock will recognize as a key date in the franchise's lore, the bite of 87. This is further supported by the text on the teaser images. All of the pictures released on the site basically ask the same question, was it me? Which seems to refer to the actual attacker of the bite itself. But there was one more word we saw repeated throughout the teasers, nightmare. Hidden over top of multiple teaser images was that exact word. That, combined with the Freddy Krueger-ish design of the animatronics, with teeth and claws everywhere, something far different from how we've seen these things designed in the past, seemed to indicate that this would be the way a child would imagine these creatures if he had had a traumatic experience with them, making it seem like what we would be playing would be a dream. Couple that with some evidence from the trailer. The first words are, "What is it you think you see?" making us question the reality of the images in the game. But there was also something that everyone seemed to overlook about this trailer, the appearance of the number 4. Scott doesn't do things randomly, as I'm sure we're all aware by now. And notice the movement of the 4. It starts off in a horizontal plane, like it was laying down on something, say a bed, but then wakes up to stand vertically before the trailer ends. Even that remnant red rectangle is meant to symbolize the bed. Everything seems to be letting us know that what we're seeing isn't really real, it's a dream, or better yet, a nightmare. Now, fast forward to the game's release, or I suppose casually meander to the game's release since it wasn't too long afterwards, and we see that this theory still holds. Flowers, an IV, and pills will occasionally show up next to your bed, classical medical supplies that show us that this is a child in recovery. Foxy, who's hiding in a closet, will transform back to a plush toy if you hold the door closed on him long enough, making it seem like this was all a dream or hallucination. And of course, the biggest piece of evidence of all, the cutscene that ends Night 5, which, if you don't want a spoiler, click here to skip. All of you skipped now? Good. Actually shows the bite of 87 take place in the mouth of the Golden Fredbear. This is further supported by the quote-unquote boss of the game being that same Golden Fredbear, where in the final nights, he's the one who ends up stalking you. All the other animatronics disappear. You're being haunted by the suit that bit you. So yeah, that's it. All the evidence points to the victim of 87 being our protagonist, the character we're playing as in FNAF 4. Good job, Scott. You finally put together a game with a coherent plotline. Except you didn't. Scott Cawthon, if all of us are right in our theory, then you, sir, are wrong. Just when it looked like you were making a game that actually adhered to its own lore, you also made a game that is completely impossible from a scientific perspective. Loyal theorists, it's time we give Scott's latest bag of tricks a little lesson in real-life science. While frontal lobe injuries aren't as uncommon as people think, actually they happen all the time in car accidents, playing football, falling down, etc., Having your whole frontal lobe bitten off has a much more profound impact on mental and physical functions. It would come with a whole slew of symptoms from motor skill impairment to nervous system issues, but the side effects we're most concerned with today would all be psychological. Removal of the frontal lobe significantly impacts the victim's ability to process certain types of stimuli, specifically fear stimuli. Let me give you some backstory. In the good old 1940s and 50s, psychiatrists often thought the best way to cure problems with the brain were to cut pieces out. Feeling depressed? Well, let's slice that out. Overly aggressive? That chunk probably wasn't important. As such, there are extremely well-documented studies of patients without frontal lobes, and what's fascinating about them was what happened to their fear response. Patients without a frontal lobe become uninhibited because they no longer have a fear response. Way back in my Fallout episode, we looked in depth at the most famous accidental lobotomy in history, Phineas Gage, who literally had an iron rod shot straight through his head, completely destroying his left frontal lobe. One of the most striking differences between pre-Pol Phineas and post-Pol Phineas was his sense of inhibition. And by that I mean post-Pol Phineas had none. He had no sense of caution, no sense of fear or self-consciousness. He was described to be impulsive to the point of being rude and vulgar in public. No fear, no anxiety, no social pressure anywhere. Going back to the game, one of the things Scott does a great job of throughout the FNAF franchise is putting you in the eyes of Mike or Jeremy or whoever. We feel invested in our protagonist because we are that character. But in this case, that's scientifically impossible, specifically because of the bite of 87. If the main character of this game truly is little Timmy Lost a Lobe, he wouldn't wander around a house clicking a flashlight on and off. Why would he? He doesn't care, because tragically, he no longer has the capacity to care. His brain structure no longer allows it. As if this weren't enough, a frontal lobe injury also tampers with concentration and attention span. The main character in the game is still supposed to be concentrated over a long period of multiple hours. But the thing is, patients without frontal lobes don't have this ability. In fact, they can only stay focused on what they see immediately happening in front of them. A child missing a frontal lobe who repeatedly turned a flashlight on and off in a hallway without seeing anything would lose interest. They wouldn't have.
So, hey, I want to prove something real quick about what's being currently talked about. It's all been disproven at this point, because I've seen people talk about, they were like saying, game theory for the most part has their theories pretty much correct. However, for this one video, since they decided, hey, we're gonna talk about a dream theory and whatever, because they're kind of like OP and whatever. Basically, what I got out of it was, these when it was all said and done, these videos, or the video basically is already, hold on. Basically, the guy I was watching, he basically said that, he was, what was it? Pretty much, the guy who was talking, he said that, for what the science behind what he's talking about is very true. However, it's more of, but he says the game is impossible. MatPat says the game is impossible. However, technically it's still plausible that the game still runs the way it's supposed to. Because basically, MatPat says the attention span of little Timmy Lost a Lobe is too weak to pay attention to what is currently happening. And so he wouldn't have the ability to care about what's currently happening. And you know what? that's true. He wouldn't have the ability to care. But the thing is, he keeps running back and forth between the left side of the hallway, right side of the hallway, the left hallway, right hallway, the closet, and checking his bed. And it's not staying there for long periods of time. He's only staying like basically you are the player, right? You're the player, you're the character. Basically, MatPat says the game can't be played because you'd spend too much time. Like if you spend too much time there, he wouldn't stay concentrated and whatever. Basically, we're told multiple times to check where everything is to make sure that we're not on like the train to start moving everything. Anyways, sorry I'm seem kind of distant right now. I'm trying to put some stuff together and it's not working. Put that in there. I keep finding just random arms. Anyways, so let's see. But yeah, basically, the guy I was watching basically just says the evidence that he's proving is correct. He would not have the attention span for it. But the way we play the game disproves it because, you know, we're always having to check what monsters on what side of the room to make sure they don't come in and tear us a new one. So basically, it got disproved. Which is why I don't really like watching this one. Because it's, I know it's got stuff that's behind it to show all the other stuff behind it, but it's just all over the place. Because it's like this one, and I think the one after this, since they both talk about a dream theory scenario, it doesn't really like, for me, I don't like these sorts of dream theories. Because, like I said earlier, they're too OP. They don't, and they're, because basically you could say, oh, this character's being hurt by, I don't know, a huge centaur, for instance. Okay, that can be written off as a dream scenario. Which is why, you know, dream theories are never really brought up because, you know, they can, unless confirmed by the person who's creating it, you know, they're just way too overpowered. They can't really do much with them. And so it doesn't create a good theory. So I like how sometimes he'll backtrack, basically say, oh, you know what, we're going to try to make a good theory out of this. Or not like, basically he says before he records, okay, I'm going to try to make a good theory out of this. I'm not going to bring up dream theories, because then I just lose all sorts of stuff. So basically, I'm gonna let the rest of this play out, and then afterwards, I'm gonna probably skip the next one.
Have the mental wiring necessary to concentrate on self-preservation. They would literally just go back to bed. The game is impossible the way it's being presented, because it would literally be over before it began. But the final and biggest nail in the coffin for this one is how frontal lobe injuries affect the imagination. The frontal lobe controls a ton of mental processing abilities, including dreams. You might think that an uncontrollable imagination would lead to exactly the kind of nightmares or hallucinations you see in this game, but in fact, it's the exact opposite. Rigorous studies have been done on the imaginations and dream states of lobotomized patients. While patients without a frontal lobe can have dreams, one thing they can't have is nightmares. Patients missing a frontal lobe carry their lack of fear and inhibition straight into their dreams. And why not? It makes sense. If the mind isn't registering fear consciously, there's no reason to process it subconsciously in a dream. Studies show that lobotomized patients can dream about idyllic scenarios, money, fame, praise, but they can't dream about the monsters under the bed. or in this case, the Foxy in the closet, making the nightmare state of FNAF 4 impossible for the victim of the bite of 87. In fact, going back to the dark days of psychiatry, some patients who experience the kind of recurring nightmare we see in FNAF 4 actually had their frontal lobes intentionally removed to stop these dreams from happening. One famous case describes a patient who was experiencing a recurring dream of being chased by ferocious animals. After the patient received the lobotomy in 1953, yes, he still had the dream, but would instead describe it as being a nice dream with some nice animals. His visions in the dream were no longer threatening. The animals were happy, he was happy, and he was no longer able to perceive any of the fear he once had prior to the surgery. So scientifically speaking, there is no single way the main character of FNAF 4 can be the bite of 87 victim like Scott seems to have indicated. Sure, the game could be about another kid, I guess, but that would be lame. No, this game is meant to be about the victim of the bite of 87. The poor kid who wasn't just attacked at the restaurant, but continues to be tortured through nightmarish visions, dreams, coma-induced hallucinations, whatever. I have zero doubt that that's what Scott intended, but the fact of the matter is, he just didn't do enough homework. A kid with those sorts of injuries wouldn't care about those things in the first place. He would have no fear, and there would be no animatronics, real or imaginary, that would be able to keep him up at night. Biologically speaking, nothing he would be experiencing would be any scarier than the fan. The fan. Sorry, Scott. Better luck in the movie. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. So that's the science of FNAF 4, but I'm working on picking apart the lore now. It'll take a few weeks, so make sure you subscribe to get notified of when that comes out. And to help you wait, click here to check out my all-new theory on how the characters in Dragon Ball Z pull off their famous Kamehameha waves. The science behind it all is actually incredibly cool. I mean, who hasn't wanted the ability to shoot energy beams out of their hands, right? So anyway, click there to check it out, or if you're in the mood for more FNAF goodness, binge watch some more creepy theories on the franchise by jump scaring this box right here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go get a lobotomy so I don't have a fear response to that fan anymore. Oh, the fan. It's purple now? Forget purple man, purple fan? Ugh. My arch nemesis lives on. Oh, and by the way, get comfortable. The Steam page for this says it's the end of the original story, which means there are gonna be plenty more on the way. We have yet to leave Freddy Fazbear's. There's gotta be a code to open this. Bite of 87. New text? I must be close. Incident of 83. One movie. 11 animatronics. 11 kids. One phone guy. One killer. Hex code for purple backwards. Is that Markiplier?
Yes, MatPat, it was me. It was me the whole time, and that's no theory.
Internet, welcome to the Five Nights at Freddy's podcast. Oh, sorry, I mean Game Theory. Game Theory, the show that covers theories on other games in the 2-week intervals between new installments of FNAF. But if I'm ever gonna see requests for games other than FNAF 4 in my Twitter feed, this video needed to be made, because I have a confession, Internet. I made a mistake in my last FNAF video. Not in my research, mind you. My conclusion that this kid scientifically could not be the Bite of 87 victim was actually 100% right, both scientifically and, as you've been eager to point out, lore-wise. No, I was wrong in calling this the bite of 87. I'm man enough to admit my mistakes. Hey, it's why they're called theories after all, right? Anyway, in this case, Scott was sure to let me know my error in his first comment on any of my videos on the franchise to my knowledge, which was really exciting, but it did leave me wondering, should I feel honored or trolled? And let me just say, because you were asking, I didn't delete that comment. I only delete comments from game theorist bots. No, I don't want your free PSN codes, okay? So I guess Scott must have deleted it himself. Maybe there was a typo. Or maybe a clue to FNAF 5. Before we get that far ahead, let's close the book on FNAF 4. First, let's set the record straight on where it takes place. It does not take place in Fredbear Family Diner, but rather the first location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the one from the old Phone Guy tapes found in FNAF 3. But the Springlock yellow suits are the only ones there, I hear you typing. And you're right, they obviously are, but remember, Phone Guy's tapes in FNAF 3 welcome you to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, not Fredbear Diner, before he tells you about their, quote, specially designed suits. Roll that cassette tape.
Welcome to your new career as a performer slash entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Right now we have two specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit.
Specially designed, i.e. not in existence during the Fredbear era. Plus, in that same set of phone calls, Phone Guy tells us the suits have become decommissioned after an incident where there were, quote, multiple simultaneous Springlock failures. What do we see at the end of FNAF 4? An incident where multiple Springlocks fail simultaneously and a child dies. And let me be clear, because the terminology is pretty confusing. In the game, the word Springlock is used to describe both the suit as a whole and the individual locking mechanisms within that suit. A Springlock suit is made up of multiple spring locks. To have multiple simultaneous Springlock failures, like Phone Guy says, would either mean multiple suits going down at the same time, which is a bit coincidental and hard to believe, or that multiple locks within the same suit collapse at the same time, causing a catastrophic failure. Say, for instance, because a child is squirming to escape and his tears are moistening the locks. Crunch. And besides, don't you think it'd be weird for Fredbear's Diner to use these suits, have them kill a child, sell the company, and then Freddy Fazbear's Pizza starts using them again? It just wouldn't make a lot of sense. Long story long, although Fredbear and Springtrap are the featured attractions at this restaurant, this is a Freddy Fazbear branded joint, one dating back to, as we see on the TV set, 1983. But enough about the timeline. I don't want to dwell on it in this episode. To me, having a general placement of the timeline is enough because the most interesting part of this game is the ending and its overall meaning. Like I said in the other FNAF 4 video, if this was just a random kid who got bit, that would be really lame. So how does this particular kid fit into the overall lore? Why is this incident of 1983 so important to show? Who is the FNAF 4 kid, and what does the ending line of "I will put you back together" mean? Well, let me tell ya, the evidence points to him being the puppet. Let's look at the evidence. First, many have pointed out the streaming tears down the kid's face, which mimic the tears down the puppet's mask. Okay, sure, that was good evidence when we first saw them in FNAF 2, but at this point, those nice pixelated streams are on nearly every chubby-cheeked kid who's ever entered these restaurants. So alone, it's not much to go on. But we can take it one step further. While the tears themselves might not be interesting, look at this. It's a screen from the Mangle minigame back in FNAF 3. This weird, crying giant silhouette was just kinda out of...
Alright, I need to pause for a second. Alright, I'll be right back. Ugh. Hi, I'm back. And then I'm gonna disappear again. Can I grab these? Hello, I have returned. I had to throw on my glasses because I'm having trouble focusing.
A place in the last game, and all us FNAF theorists just kinda glossed over it in our analyses, since, seriously, what is it? I mean, it kinda looks like the puppet, right? With its overall fabric feel and its thin striped legs. I mean, that's what I thought at the time, but again, there was really no reason to bring it up since it just didn't fit anywhere. But now we have a new game and new information that might make this make sense. Look at its body position. Notice anything specific about it? It resembles a position we see our FNAF 4 kid in a lot throughout the game, including his final scene, kneeling down, 2 streaming tear tracks, and his face turned 2/3 toward the camera. Do you see the connection here? But not only that, look at what our kid wears, a black and gray striped shirt. And remember, this is in a world where all the other kids are generally wearing single color outfits. It's an oddly specific detail. Now I ask you, what's the signature look for the puppet? None other than black and white stripes. But besides those design details, consider that there's no sign of the puppet anywhere in this game, and yet practically every other animatronic is present in some form, meaning that this game likely exists at a time when the puppet has yet to be created. Remember when he just kinda showed up in FNAF 2? Which, I should remind you, takes place 4 years later than this game. He just kinda came out of nowhere.
I keep feeling things ricocheting off of my leg. So I'm gonna guess parts are just flying off and I can't figure out where they are currently. I stopped it so I could pay attention real quick to where my stuff was so I didn't look like I was an idiot.
Well, this could be the puppet's origin story. This idea of kid as puppet also works really well with the locked box at the end. What's in there besides Markiplier's stunning face and buttery voice? A puppet. As we see in FNAF 2, he has a habit of coming out of boxes, and he's the only one who can bend and fold up into a space that small. But there's even more evidence when you look at the timeline. Now, I challenge you to ask yourself one question. What exactly is the child afraid of in this game? Why does he hate this restaurant so much? The easy answer would seem to be the animatronics, but that'd be wrong. It's important to note that at the time of the cutscene minigames, he's not scared of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica. When you walk over the pile of plushies in the corner, we see that he considers these characters as his friends. Foxy is kinda in that camp too, but to a slightly lesser degree because his brother has started scaring him with the Foxy mask, hence the head being pulled off. Even the weird psychic friend Fredbear isn't a scary presence for him, so clearly he's not scared of the characters. Is he scared of the people working at the restaurant? The purple guy? Maybe, but that's not quite the full answer either. Again, watch how he behaves. When trying to escape the worker in the Fredbear outfit, he can't muster the courage to run past the show stage with the yellow suits. He collapses in fear. And when the bullies drag him over to the stage, he's freaking out. Clearly, what he is specifically afraid of in this restaurant is the yellow Springtrap suits, whether in animatronic mode or suit mode, which begs one question. Why? Well, the answer lies in Psychic Friend Fredbear. Look at the dialogue running through the kid's head. Hurry the other way and find someone who will help. You know what happens if he catches you. That line would be easy to write off as this just being a scared kid who believes the ghost stories he's heard from the dead-eyed girl he talks to on the way home. She's creepy. If it wasn't for one thing, this other line. No, don't you remember what you saw? This kid actually saw something, a crime, something terrible in these restaurants. It would seem to imply that he saw another child get shoved into one of these suits. This would also explain the strange brown pixels sticking out of the yellow body backstage. A tuft of hair, perhaps? All of these details
Okay, I'm gonna pull this off because we don't need it plugged in anymore. And then back to full screen. And back to the show.
also fit with the character I've been lovingly calling Psychic Friend Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who are you gonna call? Psychic Friend Fredbear. I mean, seriously, what is this thing? Sometimes he's a bear, sometimes he's referencing it, and sometimes he's a flower? Okay. At first, it seemed like the creepy little toy was nothing but an imaginary friend. That was until the final moments, after the bite, when we see the bear's signature yellow text. But this time, instead of parroting back the kid's feelings like he usually does, he shows that he is clearly in possession of a mind of his own, saying all kinds of creepy things like, "You're broken. We're still your friends. Don't you believe that? And I'm still here. I will put you back together." This isn't just a split personality of the kid or anything. This is a separate entity. This is a spirit. This is someone who knows the danger of getting caught by the people wearing those suits. This is the victim that our FNAF 4 kid saw getting stuffed. This is Golden Freddy, Purple Guy's first victim. And I know you're rushing into the comments now to say that this changes a lot of things and goes against stuff we've been saying for a while, but don't worry, we'll address it. Just get excited. We've pinpointed the identities of our two most mysterious animatronics. This is an awesome revelation from an evidence standpoint, but to be honest, it's a little disappointing from a storytelling standpoint. Here's why. We humans all have a proven psychological need to complete things. This need is called, unimaginatively, the completion principle. We want to fill in the blanks in the stuff around us so that the world makes sense and we feel in control. It's the biggest psychological reason why you want to beat a game, or even just an individual level. You know how you just can't stop and save in the middle of a level? You have to play until it's done. This is the reason why. Weirdly enough, it's even the reason why it's so hard to leave just one slice of cake, outside of sheer deliciousness, or leave out the last two pieces of a puzzle. I mean, even just looking at it on the screen, Earl, just put the piece in. Just finish the last two just animate the pieces to move over into the open slots, and I beg you, just finish the last... Thank you. This isn't just you being, OMG, I'm so OCD. It's actually because the brain is wired to respond to knowing when you're done with a task. The brain can now take the mental energy it was using to focus on that activity and use it on something else. But what happens if you don't finish that piece of cake? Or if you walk away from a game right before beating the level? Your brain can't put that activity away because it's still not finished. You literally continue to spend mental energy on it in the background, even when you're doing other things. As long as there are unknowns, your brain can't feel in total control and can't let things go. And whether he knew this when creating the first FNAF game or not, Scott Cawthon has done an amazing and infuriating job of creating a story that looks like it goes one way, but also looks like it might go somewhere else. This keeps us thinking about FNAF lore, talking about FNAF lore, pestering our favorite YouTube theorists for more FNAF lore for weeks, months. Watching every video released on everything from top 10 details you missed in the FNAF 4 teaser to top 10 facts about the cupcake. The cupcake! 10 facts about the cupcake. Seriously. Once we're into the lore, our brains literally cannot let the pieces go until there's some kind of resolution, a completed story. But Scott has done such a good job of keeping the game in flux that the pieces never quite feel like they fit in a way that feels satisfying. We never get that moment of ROLAIDS. That spells relief. So we want the pieces of the puzzle to fit together cleanly, and the problem with FNAF is that while there's plenty of evidence for the story to go one way, there's also evidence for it going somewhere else. Try this one on for size. Well, there's a lot of evidence for the kid in FNAF 4 being the puppet, and I'd bet my bottom dollar that that's the solution that Scott intended. From a storytelling standpoint, more pieces actually fit together if the FNAF 4 kid becomes Golden Freddy and not the puppet. This would make our first victim, the one our FNAF 4 kid sees get killed, the puppet, like we've been hypothesizing since FNAF 2. Suddenly, you have a group of 5 kids celebrating a birthday, one kid associated with each animatronic, with the one representing Golden Freddy being the odd man out. And this scenario perfectly mimics the FNAF 3 good ending with the Happiest Day minigame, where 5 souls from 5 kids, each representing a different animatronic, reunite to celebrate a birthday that never really happened. It actually creates a beautifully bookended story of redemption and forgiveness, a reunion of brothers. And yeah, I know the complaints. Don't get me started about the size of the kids being different. They're the spirits of dead children in an 8-bit minigame, okay? Literalizing the sizes seems to be a bit of a stretch. And it goes even further than that. In the FNAF 2 Give Gifts minigame, the puppet gives life to the dead children, with Golden Freddy as the odd man out who doesn't get a mask and does a ghostly jump scare at the end. That would reflect the 4 bullies getting killed in the pizzeria by Purple Guy in response to this incident, while the one, Golden Freddy, dies somewhere else, like a hospital bed. I mean, we do see the IV and pills and flowers, and as a result, that's why the puppet, the first victim, is able to reach those 4 kids' souls and save them, while Golden Freddy has to behave like a ghost. It also gels with the idea that the Take Cake minigame represents the first victim at the first location, and why the puppet is always the jump scare, because he's the kid we've just watched get killed. So a lot of storytelling pieces fit together, but at the end of the day, that leaves us with too many questions about why Golden Freddy is talking to our FNAF 4 kid. A spirit needs to be inhabiting that bear for the story to make sense, and Scott certainly put in plenty of evidence that leads us to believe that the FNAF 4 kid is the puppet. The FNAF 4 kid needs to have seen a tragic, scary incident to make him fear the restaurant, which means he can't have been the first kid to have been killed. In short, the challenge here is that you have a choice. There's more evidence for our FNAF 4 kid becoming the puppet, but the resulting story is more satisfying for him to become Golden Freddy, and either side leaves you wanting more, because not all the evidence works in either scenario. And that is the true secret to FNAF. The completion principle demands that we get answers, that the scraps of evidence across the 4 games come together cleanly. But if and when they do, our brains will just be able to move on and forget about it, making it just another game that we played and is collecting dust on our shelf, or taking up memory space in our Steam account, I guess. In the meantime, good on Scott for making sure FNAF is always on our minds. He didn't do it by giving us endless levels or a whole bunch of stuff to complete. He did it just by making sure the pieces that are there are never quite enough. So GG, Scott. GG. And GG to all of you too, theorists. All of us. For trying to complete the story and solve the mysteries. I may complain about it, but honestly, I've been having a blast. It's like the Gravity Falls of video games. It's been my honor to work with all of you on this quest over the last year, and I look forward to trying to continue the quest in the year to come. In fact, since this has been a video many of you have been waiting for a long time, now that it's finally out, this Thursday at 4:00 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be live streaming right here on the Game Theorist channel, answering all the remaining questions you you have about the FNAF franchise, touching on things I didn't get to cover in this episode, like the presence of Mangle in FNAF 4, while also looking at some of the theories that you've been submitting to me over the last year. So if you have a question you want answered or a theory you want addressed, between now and Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m. PST, tweet me at MattPatGT with the hashtag GTLive. It just helps me sort things. I'll be reading your burning questions and answering them to the best of my ability, and who knows, we may even be able to get a special guest or two in here. So remember, that's right here on the Game Theorist channel, Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. And to get you ready, welcome back to the Super Amazing End Card Tournament, where I want to know, do you think the FNAF 4 kid is the puppet or Golden Freddy? Simple as that. You've heard the arguments for both sides. Click on one to choose. I'll let you know which side won on Thursday's live stream, and it'll all be our way of letting Scott know how we want this story to take shape. But remember, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear. I like switch keys at the end. It's weird. Psychic friend Fredbear. That's it. He's here, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear. That wasn't it either. Damn. He's here, he's there. This is great. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear. That was it.
No, Five Nights, no. Won't do a video. I won't.
Today, we end the horror. Today, we solve FNAF. Internet, welcome to Game Theory, where, after months of intensive therapy, I'm back to finally put the original FNAF tetralogy to rest. It's done. No more Halloween updates, no more FNAF 5 rumors, and no more fan. Suck on that, you multi-bladed propeller of air. So shortly after my last Freddy theory, I arranged a live stream with some fellow FNAFers to close the book on the series. And what happened was something that none of us expected.
We have internet.
We have it. We're back. No, not the stream issues. Scott started talking to us. Well, kinda. He kept updating his site, scottgames.com, with cryptic messages as to the true meaning of the game. What is seen in shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. In the FNAF 4 minigame, why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak? And finally, 4 games, 1 story. It was incredible! After a year of taking shots in the dark, finally we were, in a way, hearing back from the man who knew all the answers. Scott Cawthon, the creator, was reaching out from the shadows to give us, for pretty much the first time ever, concrete leads as to where to look. But what did these cryptic clues mean? In the moment, the best I could do was this. Is it possible that FNAF 2 didn't actually happen? But in the days that followed, those 3 clues led theorists on Reddit, Steam, and YouTube to completely throw out everything that they knew about the franchise. What if we were looking at the franchise all wrong? Instead of counting animatronic toes, calculating minimum wage rates, and tracking Purple Guy's work history, maybe we needed to take a step back. What if everything in FNAF was just a dream? That's right, a FNAF dream theory, that everything we play through in the...
Hey, I'm going to just go ahead and skip this, because there's no point watching this, because, like, I know this is kind of crucial for everything, but, you know, the dream theory scenario, like I said, too overpowered, so I'm gonna just... I'm going to go to the next one and skip to the next one. I forgot it was the live stream.
It's been half a year, so let's do this. Let's solve the secrets of FNAF Sister Location months before the game comes out. welcome to Game Theory, where today the goal is to solve the biggest gaming mystery of 2016 before it even exists. For once, I'm gonna get the jump on you, Scott Cawthon, and here's how I'm gonna do it. We all know that Scott loves dropping little teaser hints on his site, but this time, he's tipped his hand a bit too far. Enough for me to get a solid theory going on a lot of key elements we'll see hidden throughout his newest installment, Sister Location. And while some clues come from the teaser images and trailers themselves, the biggest revelations this time have come from the source code on Scott's website. So get ready for a comprehensive preview of what Scotty has in store, because by the end, we'll have looked at every, and I mean every element of this franchise, from the original series of games, to the novel, to FNAF World, to the ever-evolving source code on ScottGames.com, in our attempt to expose the facts behind the next trip to Freddy's. Now, Scott hiding hints in the coding of his site is nothing new. It was the source code that started the whole Bite of 83 versus 87 debate back during FNAF 4. But this time, it's a bit more than just a mere hint of what's to come. It is a fully fledged story. So let's take this line by line. This first big chunk at the beginning starts off like a collection of letters and punctuation, but upon further inspection, you can make out repeated numbering patterns and letter combinations representing days of the week. When pieced together, it becomes a schedule looking like this, listing out the days when certain animatronics are either available, booked, needed for a private party, or mat, either in maintenance or needed for a matinee show. It's unclear which. It's also worth mentioning that 4 animatronics are specifically called out here: BBY for Baby, BAL for Ballora, and FTF for both Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy. Now, for those of you who don't follow every scrap of information about these games, let me explain. Reddit discovered that Scott had gone and copyrighted various names, presumably for these new animatronics, and here we see it being confirmed. More on some of these guys in a minute. The thing I want to call out first is that there's clearly a 5th animatronic in this schedule, 0500S, out of service. But who could this be? In the trailer, we only see 4 animatronics. Well, that's where this teaser image comes in. A few weeks ago, this image was up on Scott Games. A mask with glowing eyes and a tangle of wires, almost like tentacles, accompanied by this text. Quote, "There's a little bit of me in everybody," end quote. Notice the grammar here. It's not everybody, but everybody. This is our 5th animatronic, our out-of-service animatronic. I mean, look at it. This guy ain't being booked at any children's parties. But that's not all we can conclude about him. The text indicates that a piece of him, his soul, his mechanisms, whatever, is in every other animatronic body. This could have 2 possible explanations. Either he's possessed the other animatronics and is controlling them, which would explain the "don't hold it against us" line from the teaser trailer we hear over and over again. Or, more likely, he's the reason the other animatronics have life in the first place. This pile of wires is kind of like the puppet from the original series, giving gifts, giving life. Or maybe this is the puppet, a new and rebooted version of the puppet. Now, stay with me here. One thing that we've largely forgotten about since his first appearance back in FNAF 2 is how the puppet character just didn't fit in with the FNAF world. Sure, as it kept making appearances in game after game, we just kinda accepted its role, but seriously, think about it. FNAF 1 through 4 were all about animatronics with big, bulky bodies and an animal theme. But then insert the puppet, thin and with a human face, complete with red cheeks, crying eyes, and red lips. Features that we haven't seen on anything else until now. Fast forward to Sister Location and we see humanoid faces everywhere. Ballora and Baby, rosy cheeks, lipstick. And now look at Day of the Tentacle over here. Notice that the ears can detach, separate itself from the main mask part of the face. It's the exact same silhouette that our puppet's face has had since the second game. Additionally, if you look at the trailer for Sister Location very, very closely, you discover what may be a very cool Easter egg. In the reflection of Funtime Foxy's cheek, we see some something. For all the other animatronics, it's a part of their body. For Ballora the ballerina, we see the reverse of her arm and earrings. For Baby, it's her finger and bow. But Foxy here is reflecting something that has a bright red dot besides 2 colored streaks, aka a bright red cheek and 2 streaming tear tracks. It's like that time we covered reflection mapping to find Super Smash Bros. Hidden location. Could that be the puppet's face reflection mapped onto the model of Foxy's skull? Regardless though, if you ask me, we haven't seen the last of the puppet in whatever form he comes in, and based on the designs of these characters, Sister Location might finally be giving us the origin story we've long been waiting for. Now, hopping back to the source code, the next section shows us that there seems to be 3 file directories for various clients. The first is for a place called Chica's Party World, the second for private birthday parties, and the third for CRMN Institute. I can only assume Carmen Institute or Criminal Institute. This starts to tell us a lot about the setting and universe of Sister Location. First, many people have speculated that the industrial feeling setting shown during the trailer for the game is a factory for the robots. I think we can get a bit more specific. Considering the availability schedule that we just covered and the client folders with various needs for birthday party supplies, it feels like this new setting will be a storage facility and
Alrighty, everyone. As you can see, we no longer have any Legos to sort out, meaning that we are officially done. So, next thing to probably handle is that we will put Legos here. Well, we'll take the Legos from here, put them in their cabinets accordingly. So let's go one by one and start doing that, I guess. Okay, so I'll start working from the front here, and I'll work my way back. Just because of convenience, I guess. So, just got a little bag here of foldables. Put that in. There we go. We're gonna need a good there. There we go. Stuff that in there. Alright, so then this comes for me. I know y'all can't see it just because of how I have this set up and whatever. But yeah, hold on. I need to get this out of the way. Alrighty. The problem is, I'm not gonna be able to do this tomorrow. I'm gonna back to the OBS so I can actually pay attention. My hair is a mess. Just so I don't have to deal with this in my face, I'm going to do this. It makes it pretty good to have to deal with this. There we go. Alright, so cans now. Hold on. I'm going to do something a little bit different. That where it belongs. Gotta go grab the glue. Just so y'all can see what I have to deal with real quick. Not a lot either. And also, side profile of how this looks. Very big. Leave that there for a second. Alrighty. Come here, you. So we hold this in this one. I know it looks like I'm being somewhat inefficient with this, but it's actually working out pretty well. when I get done, I'll show you guys how the setup looks. I'm gonna try to get another camera set up to this system to where I can have like one out here. I haven't gotten that set up yet. Oh wait. The bag for this one's in here. So, yeah. So we've been going for surprisingly 2 hours. Which I didn't even expect would happen today. Because, you know, I thought I would have more issues with this. But, you know, you usually have to run with one camera if you're just doing it straight off of the YouTube thing. I've got some mauve colors in here, I don't know how. That'll go there. I love OBS. I don't normally run with OBS because, you know, I'm usually going off of my console. But for like this is awesome. Because you can set it up however. But the other thing you can do is, like, I know Streamlabs is also pretty good at doing however it wants. But, like, for OBS, it's really good because you can have, I know, like, Streamlabs and OBS usually have, like, the same interface. But it's like, it actually works out a little bit better because it's like, you don't have to really work it out as much. Alright, I think... Yeah, that's cooled down a ton. Alright, so we'll do that. I'll put it back on a little cooler. I don't know where these light blue ones go. I gotta remember quick. Now how about that? We're all done. So we got our little bag here. Goodies for the most part. Gonna try to suck out as much air as I can. There we go. And then let's get this all taken care of. So we got this. I'm gonna close up here. There we go. And then this, just go back over here. We'll put that over here for now. And then we got our peanuts. So I guess what we're gonna do next time is, I guess, let me try to figure this out real quick. I'm going to, let's do video capture device 1. There we go. That should take it off, right? There we go. Yeah. Alright. So basically, what I'm going to have happen, well, what we're going to try to do is I'm going to move the camera over to the little builder area over here. If I get more parts, or we'll try to build something over here again. I don't know. I'll see about getting more Lego sets, and we'll just build off the Lego sets for a little bit. Jesus, that light's killing me. I'm gonna try to figure that out. Try to get a better light in here or something. Because, you know, cool in here, not in here. I can't handle in here. So I may go and get a fan to just blow air in here. Okay, so let's see. What else do I have? I guess what I'm gonna try to do. Here, hold on real quick, because I'm bored. Okay. I'm gonna just put this over here. We're gonna make a little garden pad with this thing. I don't think that's actually Lego, so we're gonna just chuck it wherever I put my bag. It's back here. I'll just put it back here for now. And then this goes here. So, there we go. It's not much, but it's, you know, a better way to have everything organized. So it takes up less space. And I don't know if y'all saw, but I was putting up a whole bunch of these little guys, these little antennas that move around. I'm gonna stick them on this plate too. Because, you know, I'm bored. I know it looks like I'm not doing anything, but I actually am. So, I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to rename that other channel that I have. I know I have Universal Squad and that second channel that I haven't done anything with, that Universal Squad Animated. I know I haven't done anything for that, but I'm going to do is set it up to where oh, sorry. I'm gonna set it up to where I do like maybe like yeah, I'm gonna probably do it like a vlog channel, because that sounds like something that would be fun. Oh, so these things do separate. Okay, cool. So what we can do with this is just stick it over here. Take some force to get it removed though. There we go. Done. And then we'll move these, I guess, over here. What I may want to try to do is use these little lights that I found. I don't know how well they're going to work out, but I got like 5 of them, so we'll try our best. I'm going to try to do some gaming stuff as well. So I'll have that for it. Then we'll just put, I guess we'll go put these over here where the lights or the window stuff is. So I am going to do, where is it? Where's my mouse? Here it is. Oh, we're over here again. Okay. So, I gotta stop looking at here. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Yeah, I don't know how to look at this. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna try to fix it to where I'm not some messed up with this. But yeah, I'll try to move this camera here. I'll try to move it over here so that way next thing we try to do be a little bit easier. Or I may just leave it here because don't know. I'll figure out something to do with it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I hope you also liked that we were discussing some theories today a little bit. So I'm gonna get out of this room because my head is killing me right now. So goodbye. Let's see if this works. That is stop.
This stream has been going on for 2 hours.
Yeah, and I'm done.
You just finished?
Yeah.
Did you just turn it off?
Yeah.
Can I come ruin it?
I just turned it off, so no, that's not how it works. Start streaming and start recording.
Look at your
R.
Legos. Do you still have any sorting of them? Did you just put them all down?
All of them up. Finally finished.
Well, what's that?
Yeah, it's just some parts that were for some Lego
What color
dimensions.
is this?
That's clear. Like a queer, not queer, clear thing. I forgot what it's called.
What kind of color is it?
It's like a blue.
Well, on one of the streams, I saw something that was kind of a wrong color. It was a brownish
Okay.
in a different sort of place. So it's